Okay, go ahead, man.
I'm loving that, man. I love that, dude. That is awesome. Great intro, guys. Tell us how y'all like it. Damn. Peter Chris's solo album from 1994, Bad Attitude. Hell yeah. But anyway, we are going to dabble in a little Kiss today. I guess that's why we got the Peter Chris rocking us out here before we get started. We're going to go through all of the Kiss albums. We're not going to go in any particular order. It's basically going to be alphabetical order, and we're going to use the solo albums and every studio album they've done, and we're going to decide whether we think the leadoff track fits and it's good for the album, and hey, they got it right, or we're going to go with our own personal track on the album if we would rather had something else to lead that album off, or we would have thought that something better would have been, I guess, more, I guess, a leadoff track than what is a leadoff track, basically, in a nutshell. I don't want to get y'all too confused. So we're going to start off with Ace Frehley's solo album. And for me, I'm not changing anything. It's my favorite song probably on the album. I'm pretty sure it is. It's Rip It Out. And I think it's the great lead off track for his solo album. And he's got a few on there he could have let off with. But to me, I'm okay with that. Now we will get Rob's opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if you factor in the success, maybe New York Groove would have been a better way if they had released that before the solos came out. I don't know if the single came out first, but as far as pure lead off material on this album, a lot of this stuff is kind of mid tempo. So I think Rip It Out would stay for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would too. I mean, look, you could go with Speeding Back to My Baby. You could go with
Yeah.
da, da,
Wiped
da,
out.
da. But I think Rip It Out's probably the strongest Kiss like song, in my
Yeah.
opinion, that
Yeah.
really, yeah, that's just me too. All right. We're going to go with, we both agree with Rip It Out. They done it right on that one. We're going to go with Animalize next. And I had enough Into the Fire. And there is no objections from me. To me, this is my favorite song on this album. Yes, I love Heaven's on Fire. I just think that this song here is absolutely perfect to lead the album off with. You're kind of getting a little seduced in a way because, in my opinion, now, this is just my opinion. So don't nobody stone me out there. I've always liked Animalize. I actually love Animalize because of things that happened when it came out. It's the first time I've seen them, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of special moments of Animalize in my life. So, but those first two tracks, you can't lead off better, in my opinion, an album with that in Heaven's on Fire. I know we're not talking about track two, but damn, man, you cannot deny it. And the rest of the album is kind of not up to par with those two songs. That's my opinion. There is some good stuff on there, but in my opinion, the first two songs are the best.
Yeah, and I could make an argument for Heavens on Fire leading off the album. However, like you said, this is a hell of a 1-2 punch.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the rest of the album just doesn't hold up. There's not a way you could really, there's not enough strong tracks to keep a moderate Kiss fan interested for the whole 9 songs. There's just
Yeah.
so many, you know, I mean, they're not terrible, but things like Murder in High Heels While the City Sleeps, Under the Gun, Lonely as the Hunter, Get All You Can Take, they're just filler. I mean, decent.
Yeah, good
So
filler.
you hate to burn your two big guns back to back, but what your only other alternative is maybe starting side two with Heavens on Fire or something. But yeah, I've had enough is definitely the only other than Heavens on Fire, and I wouldn't want to burn that right away just because of the lack of great tracks on here. You know, I never realized till we did this the other day, our album that included Animalize, how weak this
Yeah.
album really is. It is real. I don't hate it. I mean, it's a good listen. There's nothing I want to skip, but there's not much strong on here other
There's
than
not when you get past
I've had
those.
enough, Heavens on Fire, Burn Bitch Burn for me, and Thrills in the Night. I mean, I don't know. It just was a
Yeah,
very subpar album.
yeah. And see, for me, it's I had enough. Heaven's on Fire and Lonely as the Hunter. I know Gene songs. You're definitely not leading off with a fucking Gene song on here for no man's
No, not
land.
on this, not on
George
this album.
No, and I think they done it right though. I really do because when you buy this album, pretty much anybody that's a Kiss fan and or rock and metal fan at all, the only thing you know about this album is Heaven's on Fire. You've seen the video, you've heard the song on the radio, something. You bought this album, you put it in, you're getting punched with I Had Enough Into the Fire, and you're getting punched with Heaven's on Fire. So that's pretty much going to carry you through at least half this album before you realize it's not quite as good as the first two. I mean, so yeah, man, I think
And
it was
and
real
here
worth it
and here
to
we
the
are
mad.
40 years later, and Heavens on Fire is the only song I think any non-serious Kiss fan would even fucking know.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a shame, but it is true.
Yeah.
I mean,
I loved everything about it. I loved their look. I loved the album cover. Of course, Heavens on Fire, one of my favorite songs. But man, just looking at these 9 songs now, I'm like, wow, that was pretty weak. Coming off of
yeah,
Lick It
and
Up, that was coming off of the
oh,
awesome Lick It Up album. This is wow.
yeah, it's subpar to Lick It Up. Period.
Yeah.
With the exception of those two songs, I think
Right.
those two songs really carried over from Lick It Up. It would be interesting to know if those songs even existed beforehand, just to be curious. But you know, maybe one day we'll find out some of these details and stuff. You know, but um, I agree. I agree. I think that the method to the madness on that was done on purpose. Gene's not here. He's throwing shit out. So we're hitting you with two punches here, man. It's going to bust your head open. So by the time you get through the first side, you know, those two should keep you going. You're looking for
Yeah.
that rush again. But anyway, we're going with Asylum next. And don't get me wrong, I love King of the Mountain. It's a fantastic song, and I've always loved it. There's nothing bad about it, dude. I just don't think it's a leadoff track. That's just
No.
me. Um,
I think they went that route because of the whole drum intro thing. But yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going on this either. I just don't like it as a lead off track.
yeah, I think, in my opinion, I'm not going to give the good one away yet. But you know what? Instead of it being the last track on the album, I'm putting All Night as my lead off track, and Tears Are Falling is pretty much going to stay where it's at. I that's good. Yeah, that's what I led my album off with the other day, and I got to thinking about that. You know, that little dun 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 dun, dun, dun,
Mhm.
you know, that little intro, man, worked with a beginning of an album, and then they just take off rocking. That's my choice for the replacement of King of the Mountain on Asylum, in my opinion.
It's funny because before you even said it, I'm looking, thinking, oh, I'm starting it off with all night. To me,
Yeah.
the way that kicks in with his little scream and the everything, after that guitar intro, to me that's a barn burner. That's one that'll grab your attention right now. The groove will have you rocking, your head will be moving. King of the Mountain's a good tune, but it's a tale of two songs. It's almost like that intro doesn't belong on the rest of the song for King of the Mountain.
Almost. Yeah. Yeah. And
But
that's a
yeah,
good,
to
that's
me,
a good
to me,
song.
all night is such a fucking rocker that would have to be lead off for me as well.
I agree. I think King of the Mountain would have been good ending or beginning side 2, ending side
Right.
1. That's just me. Hell, you could put it in replace of All Night and put it as a last track. Hell, you're going out fucking rocking
Yeah.
too. Nothing wrong with King of the Mountain. I'm not saying that, guys. I know a lot of people praise that song and for every good reason. I love the song. I don't change nothing about it, to be honest with you. But as a lead off track, the drum fill with the pauses and stuff like that, it kind of, if you're not really a diehard Kiss fan, you're kind of trying to figure out what's going on until they kick in. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
me. All right, we're going to jump to Rob's favorite Kiss album in the catalog, and it is Carnival of Souls. So, it's not my least favorite. I can say that anyway.
No, it ain't my least favorite either, but it's close.
But yeah, it ain't far away. But this is one, believe it or not, it's grown over me over time, man. I do like a lot of this because we're not in that phase anymore. So I guess I can say that, but I'm definitely not. This is me. I'm not leading off with hate. I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't like the whatever's going on with the TV or the radio, and that's just my opinion. I'm not going to lead off with hate. What I am going to lead off with is, dude, I think there's a couple on here that would really be good, and it's not my favorite song on here either. I'm thinking Master and Slave or Jungle would have been a damn good lead-off track for that album. Now, look, I know this album didn't really sell for commercial success and all that stuff, dude. This was a release after the band had disbanded and reunited and all that stuff. So this was more of a cash grab, in my opinion, just to see what we're back together again. So we can put out anything now. Let's see how much money we can make since we're not going to be touring the album anyway. So yeah, I like the album 50-50. I do.
Yeah, I'm not even putting hate on the album if I have a choice, but since we aren't be able to take things off, I'd hide that motherfucker dead last on side 2. I love Jungle and I love Master and Slave, but I'm thinking if Kiss wants to sell the darker image like they tried to do, instead of trying to fucking come out like Metallica or Slayer or Pantera with hate right away, I'd go with In My Head. That's got a nice hypnotic groove and the guitar juga juga juga. Gene's got his demon voice. I mean, it would have caught my attention of interest versus what happened with hate going, what the fuck did I just buy?
Yeah.
So, I mean, anyway, that's just my opinion.
And that's my opinion too. So I'm going to have to narrow it down to one. I can't use two. So I'm going with Master and Slave over Jungle. Jungle was actually on the radio. It was a single they released, and Master and Slave was too. Or it was
Jungle's just a little too mellow on the beginning and intro. I mean, not mellow like a ballad. Get me wrong; it's a heavy song, but it doesn't really get heavy till the chorus. So you kind of lull someone to sleep with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you got
pretty,
Master and Slave, okay?
And you got a pretty drawn out ending too, man. To Jungle, which I like.
Yeah,
I don't.
I know
like
that is one of the few long endings that I don't mind. But yeah, you're gonna reel someone in, or you're gonna have them shut the fucking thing off halfway through. So that wouldn't be a good one.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, it is
Um,
600 or 6 minutes and 49 seconds long. That would be a long track to miss on with an audience for track number one.
yeah, and they are treading in the heavier side of things, and so I guess they're thinking, well,
Well, and
let's
it
do a
shows because
Metallica
they got
aria.
one song. They got one song on here that is 3.5 minutes. Other than that, they got 2 6-minute plus, one, two, three, 2 5-minute plus, and everything else is 4.5 to 5 minutes. I mean,
Yeah,
so they're already falling into that 90s bullshit style of, use your illusion, Guns N' Roses, everything is a goddamn novel. So yeah. Kiss used to
I,
be the kings of short and sweet. If you look at those first handful of albums, 3 minutes and 20 seconds and stuff. And now we're doing 6-minute songs. Jesus Christ.
the greatest band in the world to do that shit too, bro.
Yeah.
I thought it was to the point, and before you got amped up good, you were getting hit again. It was like,
Yeah.
I like that. I was a fan of
They
that. So
always left you wanting for more. No matter what your favorite song was, you're like, fuck, that's it.
yeah,
And here on this album, they made it to where, fuck, isn't it over yet? I mean, I'm sorry, anything over 4 minutes is just not a good idea. I'm not saying there aren't longer songs that aren't good from bands, but if I'm a band, my target number is under 4 minutes per song.
yeah. If it's gonna be over that, you're gonna have to get really entertaining somehow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Now the next album is Rob's really favorite Kiss album, Crazy Nights. Now that's Darren. That's Darren's favorite. My bad. Darren's favorite. Yeah, we're talking about you, dude. So, now look, I will have to say that the lead off track on it, I think they got right, but there is one more that I think would have been just a skosh better, and that would have been Bang Bang You.
Oh,
Damn.
oh,
No,
fuck
no.
you, man. I like that song. I don't care.
I know, and I'm glad you do because you're the only person I've ever met that does.
Yeah,
Really,
I
you
got
are.
shit in the
So
comments right away from one of our guys too.
yeah, I know. I like that when I can find that, or somebody's different with that. But no,
Yeah.
I can't. I can't defer with Crazy Nights
No.
on that album. It comes out, whoa, and you're gone. You're taking off because the worst thing they could have done on that album is put Crazy Nights, of course, the single, down in the mix like Tears Are Falling on Asylum, and started it out with something like My Way or some synthesizer heavy song. That would have not had that, things would have been a lot worse. And people don't understand. Well, what does it matter? I mean, it's on the album somewhere. No, lead off tracks are super
Because
important
back
in
in
that
the
album.
day, people didn't have MP3 players or streaming services. You either dropped the needle or you hit play on the cassette. It wasn't until the advent of the CDs that you could just skip tracks. So you either had to pick the
Yeah.
needle up and find a different song or fast forward, stop, play, fast forward, stop, play, trying to find that next track. So if you bored the shit out of someone for 2, 3 songs, they just toss that fucking cassette out or take the album out and go for something else.
Yeah. That's it, man. So yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, I ain't
So
never replacing that. And this is another one like Animalize where I mean, I like a lot of songs on here, but Crazy Nights is leaps and bounds, head and shoulders in another stratosphere from the other 10 songs on this album. It ain't even fucking close. So bumping that out of number one would be suicide back in the album cassette era. You want to grab them and give them that song that they're looking for right now because the rest is a crapshoot.
yeah, and Yeah, and I understand a lot of people believe that and think that, but I'm a little different when it comes to this album because I do think that Gene could have done "Thief in the Night." Something with a heavy punch could have started it, but they got it right. "Crazy Crazy Nights" is the best song to lead off this album with.
Yeah.
Yeah, regardless of my favorite track on this album, yeah, that's got nothing to do with it. The next one, now we're in a damn pickle. I am anyway. There's nothing on this album but one damn track, in my opinion, that you don't lead off with, and this is "Creatures of the Night."
Yeah,
There,
it's a tough one.
there's only one that you could not lead off with, and that's the ballad. We all know this, but it's a great ballad. I'm not saying nothing good, bad about the song, but the power and the just absolute, just fucking fire of these songs, any one of these could have let it off, but that's why I'm going to. Actually, I'm staying with "Creatures in the Real World," but if I'm turning it over to me and I can redo that time and place, man, I'm actually leading this album off with a Gene song that is probably "War Machine." And that's just my opinion. You can't go wrong on this album. There's no way to go wrong on this album because you're getting power either way. I love it loud. It doesn't matter. But Gene, Paul, everybody done a great job on this album, but I've always give Gene the MVP on this album because everything he does on here really, really shines with his vocals, and the songs are really Gene true to form again, man. It's damn, yeah. That's just me. I love "Creatures of the Night." You can't go wrong with that song, period, no matter where you put it. But I'm leading off with something Gene on this album just for the hell of it, and "Fantasyland." There you go.
And for me, the greatest 9-track album of all time by any band, anywhere, any genre, anytime. There is nothing I don't love on this. And I know I've had my bones to pick with War Machine, but that's only because they kept it forever for no apparent reason. Had they
Yeah,
had
me
it a
too.
single or a video, if they could have justified why that won, I'd have been fine with it. But when they
Yeah.
picked that one, and I could pick 5 or 6 that I'd rather had them play the last 40 years, it's a little irritating, but it's still a great song. Like you said, everything but "You Don't Ever Start Off with a Ballad." If anybody ever started an album off with a ballad, I bet it was their only album before they went bankrupt. You just don't do that unless you're, Kenny G, easy listening music or something.
Yeah.
I love "Creatures of the Night" as an opener. However, I would love that to be number 2 after "Killer." I think that transition would
Yes.
be insane. "Killer" come and just rip your fucking head out, and then right into those big drums of "Creatures of the Night." You really couldn't do anything wrong. You could redo this album 6 ways a Sunday and come out with a fucking winner. I love it loud. I like as the opener to the second side to just reassert that power. But I would come out with "Killer." I've always thought this is a tremendously underrated track from Gene.
Me too. And been my favorite track on here for a while because of that reason, probably. And it's that damn good. It's just, you're right, man. I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking more something that I guess has been played for 40 years, like you
Yeah,
said, but the studio version you just cannot touch. I don't care how many times they've played it. You just, this album you can't touch.
it's
Uh,
amazing, and how Kiss themselves disregards this album. I don't care that they had to cancel tours then. I don't care that it didn't sell well then. Looking back at how cherished this is by their entire Kiss army, even the original 4 Kiss fans
yes.
love this album. I've never seen or heard any person in the history of my 51 years tell me they don't like this if they're a Kiss fan. It's always up there in a top 5, Like I said, even with the diehard original fours. So how Paul and Gene can sit there and literally not even talk about it. Fine, don't do anything with it, but they don't even talk about it when they talk about their history and their great music. And it's always Deuce and Love Gun and such. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Arguably your greatest Substance album ever was in 1982 with a different guitarist and a different drummer. You don't have to acknowledge that it wasn't the original four. Just mention, oh, by the way, have you heard this album? It's kick ass. They don't even respect their own work. I think that's what pisses me off. I don't get that from other bands when I hear interviews, AC/DC, Motley Crue. I don't hear them ever trashing their own fucking library like Kiss does. It just makes me sick.
And I'm going to tell you why they do it, especially Paul. It's because sales, the tour, all that stuff you mentioned. But look, why don't you mention why the albums before? You know, they don't mention, you know, wait, if we would have come out with Creatures behind
Yeah.
Dynasty, and yeah, I give them that mulligan, dude. They could have really recapped off of that song that everybody knows I can't stand if they would have come back with this. See,
Yeah.
they don't want to get into that.
No, and we've covered that so many times. The real downfall was Unmasked, not I Was Made for Loving You. They could have come back, like you said, from that little, hey, look at this disco song. Oops, sorry, fuck that. Let's get to heavy. But they doubled down like a Democrat with a bad policy and fucking came out with Unmasked. I liked it, you liked it, but it's not a Kiss album, let's be honest. It's just not.
Not a, yeah.
But to me, I just don't understand. As proud as Paul is, it is how important his legacy is to him. He's so superficial that way. It's almost like he's playing possum, saying his stuff is shit, so someone will pat him on the back and say, no, it wasn't. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't.
Yeah. Nah, man, you're crazy, bro, because they've always had those, you know, around them, you know, oh, it's perfect. And they even admit that's a lot of the reason why we got ourselves in shape
I think the biggest problem with Paul and Gene is they spent, and this is a new take, so hear me out. This just came to me. They spent 50 years defending who they were. We're the band that nobody's seen. Fuck the critics. The critics don't matter. We're the band for the fans, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I think Paul and Gene so desperately wanted to be the Beatles with serious music. I think they knew that time had passed of the serious 60s hippie war movement protest bullshit. And it was on to good times. So they capitalized on it and they said, this is what we wanted. No question they wanted the image. But if you listen to Wicked Lester, there's a reason that album sounded that way. That is who they are. If you listen to them in any interview, you listen to Paul now, he don't go back like Gene does about the Beatles and everything anymore, but it's always about this blues artist, this jazz artist. I mean, I think they really are bitter that they are not considered some life-changing artists like some of these founding fathers of rock music way back in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And I think they're bitter about it. I think they're almost embarrassed, not of what they accomplished, but that they couldn't live up to their idols, apparently. I don't know, but it seems like they themselves look at Kiss as a joke now. And it's just a brand. It's just an image. They don't give any credence to the music or the substance anymore.
What they don't understand is their image and their music was life-changing to more than those other bands. Even if it was young kids, bro, it stuck. Look, it's what, 1973, we'll say. I know it didn't come out to early 74. How many years now? 50 years, 51 years now? Bro, how many podcasts is on fucking YouTube about this band? How many people still adore this band, bro?
And to that point, how many podcasts are out there about Paul McCartney? Zero.
Exactly. or
And
any band.
I think that's, I mean, because it just bothers me because he, I think he looks at the people like Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney, these great fucking legendary critic bands or critic singers, like, because that's all he does. When he references great music, he don't put his stuff in there. He don't put Strutter or Love Gun or anything in there. It's always some fuck that was out 20 years before them. Now, I understand hero worship. I had hero worship of Kiss and Paul Stanley for about 25 years. And then I grew up. And then I realized, yes, they're great. They were my influence, but they're so much better. And if I was in a band who 50 years later had sold hundreds of millions of albums, I'd be patting myself on the back, not still praising fucking Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. He just can't get over that. And Gene can't get over the Beatle worship. I just don't understand. They've got 50 years of a body of work here. And to them, it's nothing compared to the Beatles, who had what, 6? I mean, come on. I mean, there's no band out there other than AC/DC and Aerosmith and Judas Priest. 4 current bands for the most part, give or take, Aerosmith having to hang it up, that are still going, that have broke records from all these fuckers they worship. But because the critics and the music history books don't talk about them like Bob Dylan and the respect they give, these guys were all drugged up nut jobs who were in a whole different reality, and they still worship them like they're the greatest things ever and give themselves no credit. And it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, it does me too, to a certain degree, but I can somewhat defend them a little bit on that, because think about us. Think about if, say, we started a band, man, in our heyday, say around 1819, maybe the mid to late 80s, early 90s, give or take, somewhere in that area. And we made it huge, like a Kiss or a Van Halen or a Led Zeppelin or whatever, the big bands. And that hypothetically happened. Well, we're going to be doing the same thing. I'm not going to be cutting down on my shit if I made it that big, but I'm still going to be putting Kiss is why I'm here. That's what made me want to endure and do what I done. If it wasn't for them, I don't know what I may be
Yeah.
shoveling cow shit today.
Yeah,
To a certain
I'm
degree,
all for giving
understand that.
props. I'm all for saying
Yeah,
this is what influenced me, but
yeah.
50 years later, when you're getting interviewed and your 50-year career is wrapped up, why are you still talking about your influences? You're not even talking about your own fucking accomplishments, other than this is a brand now that's going to carry on in these goofy ass avatars. I mean,
Yeah.
albums like Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up, 2 fucking masterpieces. They don't talk about that. They talk about Destroyer. They talk about Love Gun. It just
They don't even
the
hardly
slow.
they don't even hardly talk about rock and roll over, man.
I know. I just don't understand this. The grand. What was the? They could have never imagined the level they reached in 2024 now. Yet that wasn't good enough for them, that they still got to talk about albums from the first 3 years of their existence. They've still got to talk about artists that influenced them. What the hell's going on in those two's head? And Gene, especially, the world's biggest fucking walking, mouth breathing ego, still doesn't really talk about their own music. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't
Anyway,
get it either, man.
that's a long Creatures of the Night.
That part I don't get. You're right. 50 years, man. Come on. Everybody's heard your interviews a million times. We know who you fucking legends were. We know who your icons were, bro.
Okay, and then to further that point, if you are saying that you were around for 50 years, but you only point to 2 or 3 albums in your entire history, that makes you look worse, dude. That makes someone who doesn't know your catalog go, geez, 50 years and all they point out is these 2 or 3 albums. What the fuck they do the rest of the time? I just.
Yes. I don't get that either, man. And why I don't get it is, do you think those 2 or 3 albums would have carried you 50 years, bro?
Absolutely
No.
not.
So, hey,
Okay.
I can see eye to eye with that. All right. We are to the D section in Destroyer, and I ain't touching nothing on this one. I
Nope.
love the 1-2 punch, the Detroit Rock City into the King of the Nighttime World. Even the guy getting in the car with the fuck. I'm the guy that loves all that. I think they did do that right with Destroyer.
And here's the
And
beautiful thing about Destroyer. It came out on album first because it's in 1976. Well, I suppose you could argue 8-track, but 99% of the people in 1976 were listening to their music on albums.
yeah,
Before CDs, albums and cassettes had I can't remember cassette if it did this or not. CDs destroyed 1-2 punches like Detroit and King of the Nighttime World, where they literally just merge into one another
yeah,
because they put that fucking pause in there. Even if you're not skipping tracks and you want to play them in sequential order, it's not going to
yeah,
go
yeah,
into the guitar, for Ace. It's going to pause, quiet,
yeah,
quiet, and then kick it. It ruins it. On album, this is arguably the greatest 1-2 punch ever of songs that just in a mind of a fan should always be played back to back, even in concert, because they literally are the same song just merging into each other. And I wouldn't
yeah.
change it either. There's no fucking, that is the greatest 1-2 punch that I've ever heard. And they're not my two favorite Kiss songs. It's so perfect.
Yes, I agree, man. I knew that one probably. I don't know not one Kiss fan, probably not one metal fan that would dabble with that. So that one was pretty much a stamp. Um,
Yep.
okay, now we're gonna get into some gritty shit. All right. And the album that's one of my favorite to this day. I think it's like my second favorite the last time we done a round. It used to be my first. Rock and Roll Over used to be my first. This and used to be just the way it goes. Whatever I'm listening to it the most at the time, that's usually my favorite one at that time. This one is Dressed to Kill, and to me, I do not like the way they started this album as much as I love this album. Room Service just did not hit me in the right areas, even back when I was younger,
Now
and I grow.
we got a ways to go on this, but I can say right now, just looking at that, this is probably the worst choice they ever made for an opening song of an album.
Yeah, you're right. I think that could have been the last song on side one or the last song on the album, anywhere on side two. Man, uh, in my opinion, now this is my opinion. I want to so bad, but I'm not with Rock Bottom because of the intro.
That's what I was
But
thinking.
yeah, but I'm starting this album out. This is me. And there's two that comes to mind, and that's I'm going with Lover All I Can, but Come On and Love Me would have been them to me. Those either one of those would have been spectacular to open this album with. But I'm going to go with my favorite song this time on the album, and that's Lover All I Can.
Okay, we both agree on Room Service. I'm not saying one way or the other about the song. It just doesn't belong as an opener. In fact, they make
Yeah.
this pretty easy because I would say Room Service, Two Timers, Ladies in Waiting, She, and Rock and Roll All Night should never be openers. Doesn't mean I don't like the songs. I'm saying they should be open. No,
I
no, no, no,
started
no.
the first week and say Rock and Roll All Night.
No. I was too tempted to put Come On and Love Me. That is my favorite song on this album, but it's too mid-tempo. Even though it really could work as an opening track for an album, I'm going to go, and this would never happen ever in a million years,
Get
but
away.
it would be Getaway. Peter Criss
I
would
say
hit the opening track.
that's what I would say too, but you know that's not going to happen, dude.
Now, going back to our Carnival of Souls discussion on time, there is one song on here that's 4 minutes and 9 seconds. That's She, and that's because there's a lot going on in that song in the middle and the end, right? Other than that,
Yeah,
3 minutes, 2 minutes and 48 seconds, 233, 243, 355, 258, 235, 241, 248. They went
240.
from that to fucking 5 to 6 minute fucking songs on Carnival of Souls. And they wonder
Yeah,
why, on top of the music direction, that album fucking did nothing. Kiss fans don't want to sit around for 5 and 6 fucking minutes, asshole.
you're not Metallica, bro.
Yeah, that's a
You're
whole
not.
different
You're not
fan base
playing.
that likes that stuff. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
Guns N'
not doing.
Roses. You know what? You get your Guns N' Roses, use your illusion, have an 8-minute song, they'll eat it up. Kiss fans, AC/DC fans, Aerosmith fans, Judas Priest, they want to get hit in the fucking face, kicked in the nuts, and then move on to the next beating. They don't want to have it drawn out for 7 minutes.
Yep, right to the point, and
Yep.
bam, baby. Yep, that's me, man. That might be why I'm so attracted to that album, with the exception of not songs that I absolutely hate, but Room Service, Ladies in Waiting, and well, Rock and Roll All Night, because we all know. I mean, I like the song, I always have, but my gosh,
I wish, you know what I wish, and obviously speaking of things that can never happen, I wish I could have that Men in Black flashy thing and only zap that song from my memory. So I could hear it right now at 51 years old on the studio album, not the live version, and see what I actually think about it. Because since I'm
yeah,
5 years old, 45 years that has been pushed down my throat. So I don't know if I like it. I don't want to hear it. I don't know if I don't want to hear it because I don't like it or because I'm so fucking 45 years sick of it. But you cannot take all of those plays on the radio, on the jukeboxes, in the concerts, on your own albums, CDs, cassettes, 8 tracks over the years. It is so overdone that I don't even know if I like the song or if I just hate hearing it.
yeah. You can argue that case, man. I've always liked the song, especially the studio version, because you really don't hear it that much anymore, except for your albums and stuff back when you was younger. But it was always around here, bro. It was always, oh, hey, let's rock and roll all night
No, I
and
know.
party every day. It's that live one version every damn
And
time,
I'm not
bro.
saying it's a bad version. It was a great added solo that was lacking from the studio album. They sang
Yep.
it well, they performed it well, the dubbed in crowd fit. It just I got so sick and tired of hearing that version and that version only. But
Bro,
speaking of Kiss getting no respect, today our local radio station, and usually I don't listen to local radio, but I was not in the mood to fucking sync up my fucking phone and all that bullshit, so I had it on. Our local classic rock radio station was playing fucking Love Gun.
no fucking way.
I couldn't fucking believe, sandwiched in between 2 grunge songs, but nonetheless, they played Love Gun.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's something I ain't heard on the radio in a long time.
yeah.
So, yeah. I think last time I heard that on the radio, Smashes and Thrashes came out. I shit you
No,
not. So, there you go, man. Hey, at least you got a damn a meant to be moment, bro. There you go.
yeah.
I don't listen to the radio either. So, all right, ball game or a race, and I'm not in front of the TV, I'll turn it on the
Yeah.
radio. All right. Okay, we are jumping from Dress to Kill to Dynasty.
There's a culture shock.
Man, wow. Now, I'm definitely not leading
Your
off any
favorite song, you're not changing your favorite, are you? You're leaving that up there?
album. Oh Lord, if it's up to me, we're leaving this song off the album. But it's not up to me. And here we go. Okay, you released it as a single. Okay, that's enough. You don't have to lead the album off with it. They done the right thing with Tears Are Falling. Asylum, man, they couldn't have done things better. I loved how they orchestrated that album. If I'm leading off this album,
Before
I'm
you say
going
it, before you unveil yours, just looking at this track listing in 100% honesty, and I love this album. There's not an opening
yeah,
track on this album. There's not an opening
really?
track on this album.
You don't think
Not in my
so?
opinion.
I
If
do.
there was, in my opinion, well, I'll let you go.
I do. I think there is. And believe it or not, I think Magic Touch would have been freaking perfect to open this album with. I
Really?
mean, you're getting some Kiss, bro. Bam, as soon as you drop that freaking needle, man. Dude,
Okay.
that is a song that I could even go as far as let Ace lead this album off, which you know's not going to happen. So I'm not going to dwell in that, part of the damn
Yeah, but even
territory.
the Ace songs and Magic Touch, these are all mid-tempo songs. Even
Yeah,
Hard Times is a mid-tempo song. You could make the case that I Was Made for Loving
Baby
You is the
Love would
fastest.
be mine if I picked
Yeah.
Ace. But even with the chorus, I don't give a shit. That's going to be my if Ace is leading off, that's going to be mine pick. But I know that's unrealistic. But we can say it because we're on here. Yeah, if Ace is going to lead off, I'm going with that song. But
Well, I'm going to play
Magic
revisionist
Touch,
history. So you're going with Magic Touch, and I'm going to play revisionist history then. Uh, if you're in Scott's camp, and I'm not going to say one way or the other if it was truly a mistake, I can't argue with. We've had the thing, a billion streams, one of their most popular songs
yeah,
ever.
yeah,
But we
yeah.
all know, to Scott's point, what it did to their image, and it was not good. But since that was the single, right, I want to try to pull back people who might not have liked that direction and start it off with Charisma. Get Paul's disco voice out of your head, get the falsetto out of your head, come right in with the Evil Demon. Yes, it's a mid-tempo song, but it's evil, it's dark, it's much more Kiss than I Was Made for Loving You. So at least after song one, maybe you're thinking, okay, this ain't going to be a fucking disco album. But you got a bunch of diehard Kiss fans who grew up with them in the early 70s, and they hear this fucking release. Bad enough you come out with this fucking cover, but they hear that
Yes,
release, and they'll probably buy the album anyway, thinking, okay, that's a one-off fucking fluke. But then
yep.
you shove it in their face as soon as they put the fucking needle down. It's right in their face again. I would almost end the album with I Was Made for Loving You, just to show that these other 8 songs are still us. This was just something we did to get on the radio and get some credibility in the new scene. Come out with Charisma.
That would have been great. That would have been great line. That would have been a great thing for them to actually explain it that way at the time.
Yeah.
This is not something we're going to be doing, fans.
Yes.
We just wanted to test the waters and see how you liked it. If you don't,
Yeah.
don't
And
worry.
they never
But
want to explain, right? Because they don't ever want to accept blame or fault or have their decisions questioned. But they should have done. They should have said, look, we are a rock band. We've always been a rock band. We're not turning our backs on you guys. This is the going trend right now. So we wanted to throw our fucking hat in the ring, get a little sliver of that fan base, bring them over and convert them into rock and metal fans. And this is a way to do that.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it could have been sewed over with something that simple and small.
Yeah.
Even on that interview where Ace, I loved you and you hated. That interview, they could have spit that out to the whole
Yeah.
world right then.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. But then again, that may not have been Paul Stanley's intention if it would have flew him over the moon like they did with Alive.
Oh,
Watch
believe
out.
me. I think if this would have worked the way Paul wanted it to, the next album they would have been out in glitter pants and a Travolta haircut. I think that's what Paul wanted. It's documented in his book. He spent all his time in dance clubs shaking his ass.
Yeah.
Let's be
And
honest.
hey,
He may have fucked a ton of chicks and all that stuff, but he is the furthest from a masculine man that there is. He's in
yeah,
his 70s and he's still talking about how he was bullied in elementary school. I mean, the guy
yeah.
mentally and emotionally is an absolute pussy. So it would not have surprised me at all if Paul would have quit Kiss. If Kiss would have disbanded with Ace and Peter leaving, Paul would have been the next Michael Bolton. I swear to Christ. He would have ditched. Look at Live to Win, and I like Live to Win. I know most Kiss fans don't. It's not his 78. Even he acknowledges that he should have done one more like his 78 album. I still like it, and I love Desmond Child's album. That's what this sounds like to me. He was, and they're soul buddies. I mean, songwriting geniuses together. I think that's Paul's true direction. It may not be his influence. Obviously, he's made it clear with Soul Station that his influence was Motown, the Beatles, and stuff like that. But you sometimes look, I mean, Garth Brooks' inspiration was Kiss. He's a country singer. Why? Because he can't write and sing metal songs. I think no matter
yeah.
how much Paul wanted to be the Beatles or Motown, you are what you can do. So I think if there's no Kiss, Paul is a pop singer. I really do.
I agree with you too, because there's a point in time where when they did get famous after Alive, Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over Era, they were bitching and complaining that they could walk down the fucking street, man, and nobody knew who they were. They wanted to be known.
That's a
Holy damn it.
celebrity's dream. Go ask any celebrity. They'd kill for that.
Exactly.
These
Why
fucking,
would
how
you
many
want that,
times these
bro?
TMZ articles where this celebrity, this actor, this musician punched this cameraman, threw this phone out of this fan's face because they can't be left alone to eat at a food court. And they're bitching about
Exactly. These
it.
guys, Ace Frehley was telling stories like in his book and stuff, and we're going to get to those books one at a time. We've got to. But man, Ace somewhere down south, I don't know if it was Charlotte, Atlanta, somewhere his brother or something lived at the time or something. They were playing that night, man, and Ace was wandering through the crowd, went and got him a hot dog and a beer at the damn stand, man, and was just fucking bullshitting around, man. I mean, how cool would that have been, bro? Get, I don't understand what kind of problem you have with that, man. Did you not
Right.
hear how many
Because
stories of
you're
Elvis
still gonna
Presley?
get the radio interviews, you're still gonna get the TV spots because they're gonna want you, right? If you're worried about getting laid, motherfucker, the chicks line up outside your hotel room. They don't care what you look
For
like under there.
goodn's
They're
sake,
told this is
God's
Paul.
sake.
You know how many roadies probably got laid in the name of "I'm Paul Stanley"? Wink, wink, nod,
Oh
nod, because
my,
they had no idea. The Kiss roadies had to
oh,
be
they,
the most laid roadies on the planet because they could just say I'm one of the band.
all of those stories are in the book, bro. Everybody got the action, man. Everybody got everything with them. Oh, dude, yeah, we'll get there. We
Yeah.
will get there, man. And those will be really good too. So, okay, this is going to be I don't know if it's going to be a tough one or um, I'm not staying with this one. So this is Hot in the Shade. And I'm doing it for the reasons of the little intro on Rise to It. Yeah, you could leave that as a leading track. This album has so many songs on it, but I'm going with something like Read My Body to start this album out. And I'm just fucking, I'm going somewhere between heaven and hell. I'm letting Gene lead this album off. Hopefully he's back now. Crazy Nights is over with. I think Gene was back at this time. I think his dreams had been smashed on the other side of the world. I think the intro to Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell is real heavy and dark, and you got that echo. Gene sings it very good. It's got a heavy punch to it. One of the few songs on this album that does, and it actually sounds like you're listening to a Kiss song starting this album. Now, that's just my opinion. And yeah, Rise to It's not bad, but I'm going with something a little heavier starting off. That's just me.
Yeah, this album There are so many good songs, believe it or not, people.
Yeah, they are.
But none of them are
Productions.
real headbangers, for lack of a better term. They're more just, kind of rock songs.
Except Boomerang.
Yeah. Most of the songs that I really love from Paul, King of Hearts, Silver Spoon, they're not
Oh, one of 'em.
they're not
Yeah.
opening material. I'm gonna have to go Gene too. And my favorite Gene one on this is Street Gibbeth, but I don't think you can pull that off with that acoustic intro any more than Rise to It. I'm gonna go with Betrayed, a song that I don't hear many talk about, but I
Yes.
love this fucking chorus. I love the
I do
tempo of
too.
this song. So I'm just gonna flip it up and maybe have Rise to It second after Betrayed instead of the other way around.
Hey, I could go with that too, man. I like that. Song's growed on me over the years. I didn't like it at the beginning, but
I didn't
I do
either at
like it.
first. When it came out, that was a skippable one, but the older I've gotten, I'm like, that's a good fucking song, man.
It is, man, and it's heavy.
Yeah,
Dun, 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 dun. You know, it's got some grit to it, man. If that
yeah,
album would have been produced grittier and
yeah,
louder,
yeah.
heavier, maybe distorted a little,
It's
that would have
another
been a
one.
heavier
People
album.
talk about Unmasked and Crazy Nights should have been produced differently, and I agree. But this is one you don't hear a lot. What I hear from, and it's usually the Kiss
Demo.
podcast, right? The high end Kiss podcast, right? I'm so tired
Yeah.
of hearing this. It's a demo album.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, have you ever listened to a fucking demo tape? Go out and buy one of Kiss's 70 box sets with their demos. It's like a band playing in a room with a Maxell cassette recorded on a boombox. No demo
Yeah.
in the world has this level of production. So take that
No.
demo argument, stick it in your ass. You can say it's not a cohesive album. Some of the songs
Yeah.
don't fit well with the other songs, but this is
Yeah.
hardly a demo album. So fuck you. But produced differently, yes. It needs a darker, edgier sound. I'm not saying Revenge. I'm saying more rock and roll overish, type, just
Yeah.
a, a rock.
Yeah.
There's very little distortion in these guitars. Most of this shit appears to be played or hears to be played almost on a clear channel, which all your
Yeah.
70s rock bands, Boston and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. I like distortion.
I
Obviously,
do
Kiss
too.
being a band of Gibsons and Marshalls, they were never really heavy distortion like metal, but this is a little too Billy Squire sounding guitars versus Kiss sounding
Yeah.
guitars. And there's nothing wrong with Billy Squire, but
No.
Kiss is a heavier band than Billy Squire. And this album, I think, was produced too lighthearted sound wise.
And I heard you mention something about Animalize being low volume. This is
Yeah,
a low volume too,
yeah,
bro. I noticed that about this album big time. So
yeah.
yeah, I agree. I could even went for Hotter Than Hell production on this. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, because I'm one that likes that,
This
you
is
know.
almost
Huh?
this is almost too this reminds me of Smashes when they redid the old songs. They're too
Yeah,
clean, they're too clear, they're too crisp. They don't sound like a raw rock band. They sound more like MIDI instruments in a studio. Um,
yeah. And one reason we do know that is a drum machine was used on a lot of this album. So
yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. We're getting to some Nitty Gritty albums now. We're going back to the beginning with Hotter Than Hell. Okay. You could argue the case with quite a few of these songs, bro. And I'm going to go ahead and state it for the record. I love Got to Choose, a song that I really didn't pay attention to back when I was a kid as a leadoff track. I'm not going to leave it as a leadoff track, in my opinion, but that song is absolutely fire, bro. When they go to rolling, man, when they get past that little intro and Peter's drumming is so erratic, but so damn good on this song. Paul sings it fucking perfect. The lead is fucking great. The grit of this album production did push them heavier. Um, I am going with, phew, this is tough, man. Um, I am going to go, believe it or not, and I know this ain't going to happen. So I'm going to have a backup. I'm going with Strange Ways. I know how y'all feel about the song, but I think it's heavy, raw, in your face. But reality, I'm going with Parasite. And you could go with the title track. You could go with Hotter Than Hell. But Parasite is dun 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 dun. I mean, they're coming out there, but damn, got to choose this fucking fire, man. But I'm
This,
just gonna go just a tad heavier starting out.
this fucking album is phenomenal, and this is heavy fucking metal Kiss when I'm looking at this track listing. Jesus Christ. I mean, with the
Yes.
exception of Coming Home and All the Way and Mainline, maybe the rest of this is heavy Kiss. I like
Yes.
all this. I don't hate Strange Ways. I like to give you shit. I just don't understand why it's everybody's favorite Peter song when there's, other ones out there I would choose like Getaway for sure. I
Yeah, I
too
love
love God.
both.
I love Got to Choose. I've loved this song since I first heard it as a kid. I think that is one of the most brilliant guitar intros that Ace has ever done.
I love
But
it.
it's too mid-tempo at the end of the day to lead this album off. I was tempted too to go with Hotter Than Hell, but again, heavy, absolutely, just a little too. I wanted to put Watching You, but again, a little too. I've got to
Yeah.
agree with you and go with Parasite because it is the mover and shaker on this album.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say "Let Me Go Rock and Roll," but that's more of an ending song. It's not really a come out and grab you by the throat song like Parasite.
No, it's not. You're right. And if there's any song on here that I feel don't fit this album, that's the song.
That should
That
have been
could
on Dress to Kill.
and she could have been on this one,
Yeah,
something like She. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. And a lot of people say that, and I'm glad
yeah.
they distinguish that, dude. Yeah, I agree. Okay, we're jumping to the debut album, and in all honesty, I am going. This is going to blow some people's minds right here, man. And I don't care because I think it's the great way to start the album. It's not because I just love the song, but I love Kissing Time, bro. I don't know what the hell people's got against that song. I listen to it and I diagnose it and I try to understand, damn, what do y'all not like about this damn song? I don't understand. The lead, the drums, the singing, the trading off of the vocals is fucking fantastic on this song. The chorus is great. They sing it and harmonize great on it. That's I, and it's just something I'm missing. Maybe I don't know, but that's one I'm going with. Believe it or not, it's one of my favorites on this album, and I think it's a strong way to start the album. That's just me.
I agree. That would be a
But
great
then again,
opener.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. I can use that because they did come put that on the album after it was released. Without it, I've never had an album or owned one without that on there. So
Me
I don't know
either.
how many was shipped or sold beforehand. Couldn't have been many. So
No.
I'm using Kissing Time. Yeah.
And I love that song too. I've never understood the disrespect. You could say the chorus maybe kissing time or the fact that it was used for a kissing contest. You know how
And it's
Kiss
a
fans, especially the early, 70s Kiss fans, God forbid Kiss did anything that wasn't metal, right? So having
yeah.
your song featured on a kissing contest in the news, maybe that just got them embarrassed
Ah,
enough. But the
yeah.
song is heavy as hell. You can't say it's I Was Made for Loving You disco. You can't say it's shandy pop. It's a heavy fucking song. You may not like what it stands for. I personally love how they go talking about all the different cities and shit. I love the trade off vocals. I love the song. It would make a great opener, but I'm going to have to go with Nothing to Lose because this song to me just it's an immediate head going for me.
Yeah.
Even on this first album where I've openly criticized how slow the tempo of these songs, which are all great songs live. Every song on here that they've done live that I do not like on the album, Strutter, Firehouse, Cold Gin, 100,000 Years is fine on the album. But those three were the main reasons that soured me on this as I got older is Strutter, Firehouse, and Cold Gin. They're just played too fucking slow. Live, they're phenomenal. But as far as this album goes, the tempo that is actually recorded on this, I'm gonna go with Nothing to Lose.
Yeah, and that's I got nothing against that either, man. Because that's their first single on this
Black
album too.
Diamond would be awesome if they didn't have that damn intro. I mean, I'm not a fan of putting a slow intro, even if it goes like Rock Bottom, into a tough song. Don't start an album out slow for me. Not even
I'm
for
not either.
30 seconds. I want you
I'm
right
not.
now. Yeah.
And you could argue 100,000 Years would be good because Gene only does the
Yeah.
dun dun, and then they go
That's quick.
dun dun dun.
It's quick, yeah.
That would be a good one too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's good picks, man. I agree. I ain't got nothing to say about that either. All right, we're jumping to one of your favorite albums and one of mine too. I mean, literally, I cannot argue this album at all. And in all honesty, I cannot argue with the leadoff track. I'm leaving this one in place. You can change Exciter for Not for the Innocent. Either way, either one would have been great. Lick It Up. I'm starting off like it is. I'm not messing with that one. That's my opinion.
Not only do I agree with that, I don't change the order of a single fucking song on this album. I think
Nah.
opening with Exciter, no matter how much they want to shit on it, is perfect. And you end with On the Eighth Day because that sums up what the whole fucking album's about. I love the way this was produced. I love the songs on this, and I love the order they fall. The only song there's two songs I could give or take and maybe replace with something else if they had written something of this heaviness, and that would be Gimme More and Fits Like a Glove. But I don't hate either one of them. They're just songs that are like, oh, okay, yeah, they could have done a little better with those, but they're still fine.
Yeah. And they really thought a lot of that fits like a glove too, because they played it live.
That's another one like War Machine. It's like, why did you pick that? It wasn't a release. Why not for the Innocent? I mean,
yeah, because you're not going to scream when you're supposed to. You could have picked another song to do, dance all over your face.
Even do
on the 8th day.
Hell, do All Hell's Breaking Loose. You had a video for that.
All Hell's not for the fucking Innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude. Yeah. That one boggles me like I've had enough into the fire. Yeah. Not for the Innocent boggles me like that one.
Yeah.
There you go. And Exciter. Yeah. I could go on and on. Next up, we're going to travel back in time to Love Gun. And I'm not moving that for shit. That's me. I
wouldn't either. And if I had to, if someone put a gun to my head, I'd say Tomorrow and Tonight. But I Stole Your Love not only was perfect to open this album, it was fucking fabulous to open the show with. Back in that Hot in the Shade concert, Jesus Christ. And I think they even opened with it back on the Love Gun tour. I think I've seen videos where the risers come out to I Told Your Love. It's just a brilliant opening song, for an album or a show.
Yep. And it stands as my favorite song on that album too. So I can say that with conviction. I love the whole album, but that is the song to me. Okay. Are you ready to dabble in some waters that is uncharted? Monster. Okay. I'm definitely not starting off with Hell or Hallelujah. because I don't like the song. I don't like a lot on here, and that's no secret, but I am going to give Gene the head knock on this one with the wall of sound. And that's all I got to say. There's really not much I can say about this blasphemy or whatever. And I'm sorry, Kiss fans that do. I know there's people out here that like this album. They do. They're out there. They say they do anyway. So I just ain't
I
got no
think
heart.
I think in all actuality, there's one Kiss fan who likes this, and his name is Mark Cicchini from Three Sides of the Coin. Because if you ask him, this sounds just like 70s Kiss on this album.
Dr. Fuck likes it too.
Does he really?
Oh,
yeah. That's fucking
at one time, he was putting this ahead of Destroyer, and then he got his mind back on one of his later episodes. Yeah, and said, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about saying this was better than Destroyer, and then he dropped it back down some. So yeah, but he shits on Sonic Boom with this one 10 times better, you know. So there you go.
Thoroughly disagree with that. I'm not saying Sonic Boom is a great album, but Sonic Boom is fucking Destroyer compared to this piece of shit.
It's memorable.
Yeah, there's songs on there that make a difference.
This album. Okay. And look, I'm sorry to say, but there's nothing about a Kiss album that I don't remember. But this one, I even remember Carnival Souls, for God's sakes.
The only reason I can pick a song on here is because we covered this album on our videos. Because as God is my witness, hand to God, when this album come out, I think until we started doing this channel, I listened to that album 1.5 times, trying to give it a second listen, and I couldn't finish. And that was it. And I put it away, and I didn't even fucking think about it. To me, this didn't exist. Like some people say, the elder, I fucking doubt. That's how I felt about Monster. This is, to me, the most embarrassing Kiss album ever. And I've said this before. If I have to introduce somebody someday to Kiss who's never heard a single song, they're never going to even know this exists. I'm going to bury it in the backyard and fucking lock their computer from finding it, whatever I can do, because as a Kiss fan, I'm embarrassed of this album.
I am too. I can't say nothing good about it. I feel like your legacy ending off is this. Thank God most people won't remember it. And I hate saying that, but damn it, it's true to me. I'm not saying this about the people that like it now. I know you're out there, but it just don't have no heart, no soul. There's nothing behind this album that even grabs me.
On this fucking album. That's what really pisses me off. It's like every freak had some potential with the verses, and then it just comes down even slower, and it's I'm a freak. I mean, what the fuck is this? I mean, it's just anyway.
Is he singing about his ear? You reckon? You think that's where that come from?
Yeah, that's why he's still pity partying about his childhood, right? Okay, so I'm gonna have to say Back to the Stone Age. What did you say for yours?
Yeah.
That's yours too?
I said Wall of Sound.
Okay. Just because Back to the Stone Age at least feels like a good time Kiss song. I was going to say Take Me Down Below, but the lyrics are so devastatingly cheesy that I can't go there. But at least Back to the Stone Age kind of is a up-tempo-ish good time Kiss rock song, albeit terrible, still in that mold. So that's the best you're going to get out of me. I hate this fucking album and everything on it.
Yeah, and I can't be too hypocritical, man, because I do like in some way, shape, or form Wall of Sound. That's why I picked that one. To me,
I'll take that back too. I would never start the album with this because it doesn't have the punch, but I like All for the Love of Rock and Roll. I like that vibe. And I like Eric Singer's voice. I'm not saying he's a great vocalist on this song. I just like, it's kind of that, not Kiss 70s, but that 70s Bob Seger type. Yeah.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
time rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, almost bringing the oldie 50s rock back with a heavier sound type. Yeah.
I'll tell you. I mean, and there's
Okay.
nothing great on this album, but Paul shit the bed 6 ways a Sunday throughout this entire album.
I
And
agree. I just didn't.
to put a big stamp of shitness on it, he produced it too. So
Yeah. And that's just not his forte. So,
no,
yeah.
because the production even sounds like shit on this album. It sounds like
Yeah,
somebody
man.
did this in their basement studio. It's fucking terrible.
That's why I don't buy that him and Gene, he had to throw Gene's name on the Animalized
Yeah.
production. Gene wasn't even in fucking the studio, bro. How the
Mhm.
hell did he produce the damn thing? So look, I'm not buying it. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay. We are to music from the elder. All right. I I am literally going to have to go with, and I know this album's got a sequence. Okay. I'm going off sequence. That's just me. It's not my favorite song on here, but it's probably the heaviest and hardest Kiss type song on here. It's The Oath. That's what I'm starting off the album with. I know it's a concept album. I understand, but music
Okay, but
wise,
here's the thing. That's the fucking remaster that starts with Fanfare, then Just a Boy, then Odyssey and all that. My album starts with The Oath. When I bought that album in 1981, it started
oh,
with The Oath.
you're right. You're right,
Yes.
because I told y'all the story about a girl I was dating
Yes.
had that album, and that's how
This
I heard
this
it.
this
So
fucking remaster, I understand why they did it this way because it does tell a story, but you'd have to be out of your fucking mind to start with a musical fucking orchestra leading into Just a Boy and then into a fucking, Broadway play Odyssey. I mean, this song doesn't pick up pace until Dark Light, track 6.
yes, and I
And why
love
are they doing
only
and
you.
why
I
I could
love
see them
those songs.
remastering this in this order if they had later put out the movie. But with that movie never coming out, why did they find it necessary to remaster it and rearrange the order just to tell a story that nobody's going to fucking care about anyway? Do you think anybody gives a
That's
shit
why.
about the story on the wall
That's
or
why.
Tommy or anything else? No, they pick their favorite song and they listen to it. They give a fuck if it's in order or not.
We're going to cash
So yeah,
in. We're going to put remastered, reline. The hardcore
yeah,
Kiss
no,
fans are
fuck
going
me.
to buy it.
Well, I'm going with The Oath the way it was in 1981 when it came out, and that's my opening track because it's the heaviest, fastest song on the album,
Yeah,
and probably the
that's
best song on the album. Mhm.
yeah, the Kiss representation song right there.
Yeah, yep,
Um,
and about the only one. And I love this album, but that's the only real true Kiss song is The Oath.
yeah, yeah, I agree, because I'm not a fan of Dark Light. I do like
I
Ace's
don't mind it.
talking in it.
I
The
know I don't
chorus is
mind it,
what
but
kills
that's
me.
that solo blows my fucking mind. That's why I love it so
I
much.
love that. I love that. It's the chorus, man, that
Him and
kills
Eric,
me.
like I said when we did the Elder, I've never heard a solo in the middle of a song with just the drums. But Eric's like Congo jungle drums with that fucking lightning fucking
Yes.
screaming lead going on. Ace and Eric
Yeah.
killed that song, man. That was fucking awesome. And I don't
All
give
due
Ace a
respect
lot
to
of
that.
credit, people. So there you go. I'm singing Ace's fucking praises on that motherfucker.
There we go, man. Yes. I love it. I'll take it. Paul Stanley's solo album is up, and I'm definitely not going. I like the song. There's nothing wrong with the song, but it's just way too slow for way too long for me to start off that album with. I'm going with Wouldn't You Like to Know Me or It's All Right. I guess I'm going to go with It's All Right because it's my favorite song on the album. That's the only thing that sways that. That's what I'm going with to start off Paul Stanley's solo album.
This is fucking tough for me.
Yeah, I know.
And don't
This
get me,
one.
I never really tout Tonight You Belong to Me, and I love it. And I do love it was impressive, especially as a fucking 8-year-old kid to hear him doing basically a female and male part. But even as a kid, I couldn't wait for that fucking guitar to kick in.
Started
But I
off with
think,
that, and it's staying.
yeah, but I don't necessarily agree with Paul choosing this as the single. I love everything
Me.
on here with the exception of Hold Me. That's about the only song I do not. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me is probably my favorite up-tempo song, so I'm going to go with that. Although I am tempted just because of the way it grabs you by the throat to put Love in Chains at number 1. I will go with Wouldn't You Like to Know Me.
I want to put Together as One or whatever.
Oh,
What's that?
good
I
God
but it's
damn.
just too slow at the first. It's perfect where it's at, man. It's perfect.
What
Dude.
I
So
want, and it's at this point in time never gonna happen. I have prayed over the years that this song would finally get some respect and recognition. Obviously, not from Kiss. I don't understand why. If Paul wants to look
somebody
back and
redo it.
find something, yes. If Paul wants to be proud of something he did, why hasn't someone sat him down and said, put your fucking headphones on and look and listen to what you fucking did vocally on this? Robert Plant couldn't touch this with a 10-foot fucking pole, and that's your idol, all right? So if somebody else remade it, whether it's some pukey pop bitch or anything, it would at least draw attention to one of the greatest power ballads of all time. Even if they
Yep.
butchered the shit out of it, it would still get it out there.
Before a power ballad even became a power
Yes.
ballad, bro.
God. Oh well.
I agree. Okay. Let's come out the end of the sewage tank here, and we're going
Hey,
to
hold
the
on a
Peter
second.
Chris solos.
If we're going alphabetical, how the hell did Paul come before Gene?
That's a good damn question, ain't it? Yeah, you're right. I must have missed him somewhere. So
Yeah.
let's do Gene first, because
Let's do
the
Gene.
next one's really tough. Gene Simmons solo album, and I can't mess with
No.
the intro, now look, the perfect demonic Black Sabbathish Here Comes the Angel of Death intro to Radioactive. Unfortunately, it should have been a War Machine type song. I'm not saying War Machine, a God of Thunder-ish type song. Radioactive, I loved it for years. It just didn't age well to me, but it's staying where it's at. I can't do nothing with that. That's me.
Yeah. I wish he would have had, to your point, a rock and roll hell war machine-esque song to go along. Hang on a second. To go along with that intro, because the intro is epic, right? Like you said, Black Sabbath, straight out of fucking Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne's heyday. And then it goes into She's Radioactive. It's a good song,
Yeah,
but that intro does not fucking fit. Unfortunately, nothing else on this album would have went with that intro either. But
no,
because of that epic intro and the fact that Radioactive is probably the best song on this album, I leave it alone.
I guess you could throw "See You in Your Dreams" there, but
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
what it, uh, I'm leaving it because you can't really. Yeah. What are you going to put "Wish Upon a Star" there? Holy hell!
Think about this at the time. Think of how fucked up Gene was at this point, already becoming Hollywood. This is the guy who brought you She, Watching You, Parasite, and I don't care if Ace wrote it. Fuckers, shut up. I'm saying he sang it. All
Sang
these
it.
God of Thunder, all these
God of
heavy,
Thunder.
evil, I Am the Demon songs.
Almost
His
Human.
mind creates this demonic intro. And does he go into She or fucking Watching You or something heavy like the past? He goes into a radio rock song. That's how fucked his head was already. Anybody and their cousin knowing Kiss's history and the album cover of that face with that blood coming out knows that that intro should have went into a scary ass evil heavy song. Whether you wanted to do a solo album that didn't have those musical roots, you could have done one song to at least make that intro fit the song. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Then
And
you could
the
go on
only
and do
Kiss-
your fucking Wish Upon a Star all you want, but you could have at least had one Kiss song. One. Ace did.
Yeah.
Him and Peter.
Yes.
Even if you love Peter's solo album, and I'm not knocking you if you do, or Gene's solo album, and I'm not knocking you if you do, at least Paul and Ace gave us one, at least obviously more than that, but at least each member should have given one Kiss-esque song. Just one.
Yes. Yes.
And I think it would have made all the
Absolutely.
difference, especially in Peter's album sales. Imagine with all that, and I'm not saying it ain't talented what he was doing. He was a big band jazz drum fan. He's got the perfect Bob Seger-ish, voice. But if he would have had even like a Dirty Livin' on that album, and then all his other stuff,
Baby
at least
Driver,
you're giving the Cat fans something.
Black Diamond. Dude, he would have
Yeah.
ripped it up, bro. Hell,
Yeah.
Bad Reputation, the intro to this freaking video, man. Anything, man. But
Okay.
I'm going to
I
say
need
this.
to,
For the record.
you're going to say what? Go ahead.
I'm going to say this for the record. Gene Simmons' solo album, out of every Kiss album there is, and probably every album that's ever been made by anybody, is the only album, is probably not the only one, but the most diverse, that threw me for a loop after the intro. When I heard the rest of the album, it really pulled me in and threw me against the wall.
Because
like
you're
that.
expecting Big Bad Demon. At that point, there was no internet interviews. He couldn't spout his mouth off out of makeup. He had to be the demon. So you had no clue that this guy was into Disney's Wish Upon a Star or Mr. Make Believes and all these True Confession, all these weird eclectic genres. You had no idea because you didn't even have Kiss in the 70s sitting down saying, oh, Beatles were my influence. No, it was all staying in character. They didn't credit anybody or do anything but talk about them. So we were mind fucked. Yeah, we were mind fucked into thinking this guy was evil personified. And you come out with that intro and you're like, fuck, here we go. And then you're like, what?
Exactly.
We got Cher on the fucking phone at the Holiday Inn living in sin. What in the hell is going on here?
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. And that's that. And an 8-year-old kid's mine too, dude. It hit me like that then. And every song I kept searching. Where's it at? Where's he at? He's doing rock and roll over on here. Why? So there you go. Just, things you just think of.
And let's do this. I'm going to throw the intermission up, use the bathroom, get another beverage. I'll give the listeners some music to listen to, and we'll take 5.
Be right back.
Probably like 3.5 minutes. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Don't turn your back, we'll make you pay.
Okay. Refreshed.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're still rolling. So what's next on the docket?
Probably the greatest album that ever come out with a Kiss name on it. The Peter Criss solo album is next up.
How fitting that my my intermission music was "We Want You" from Peter Criss.
Yes, sir. I heard that. Yeah, man. Hey, to me, the best solo album he ever done. That's my opinion.
Absolutely.
And bar none. I mean, literally.
No, that one I've actually we got to do that one because
we're
if
going
Peter
to.
Criss ever deserved any credit for how great he was, that fucking album is all he needs to hang his hat on.
Absolutely. And I seen
even
that
even the fucking cover was fucking phenomenal. That, in fact, is iconic as these solo album paintings are. Imagine if everyone was in that style, were half makeup, half regular face, just teasing the fans at what they looked like without makeup.
Yes. And look, I will say this. I did kind of cringe a little bit. You know, I thought, oh hell, you know, Peter, please don't do this to us again, because look, you're talking to a guy that hadn't really dabbled in Out of Control or anything. Look, I still to this day have not heard anything off of that album in probably, god dang, since it came out. I probably couldn't tell you a thing on it, but
honestly, I've heard bits and pieces of those, but it was so not my style that I never really gave it a chance.
It's bad. It's really bad. The album cover is freaking awesome, though.
Yeah, but what's the one he had that one album cover he had with him like with a piece of wheat in his mouth and it's a profile. I love that fucking album cover. And it almost looked like a country. He almost looked like Kenny Rogers with his beard and shit.
Yeah, I don't know, but I thought, Peter, what the hell are you doing?
And I thought I saw that too when Chris Cat came out and I saw the makeup on the half. I'm like, don't you dare make Kiss look bad here by having another shitter. And it was a killer album.
Yes. I hate it for the tour on that thing, man, because I bet they wasn't 30, 35 people in that damn club that night, man. I mean, we were right there at him, bro. I mean, the whole band. I mean, we could just, everybody had front row almost. But it was damn good, dude. He done a phenomenal job, like he was playing to a huge audience, man. Love him. But anyway, we're definitely going to hit on that one. The Out of Control album cover was great. It was a drawing of a jukebox exploding and slinging 45s everywhere, and people's running, and he's even got that wife of his at the time on there, you know, the Playboy Playmate, and yeah. So, but anyway,
you know, if he wouldn't allowed himself to be Yoko Ono'd, he stays in Kiss. I believe he stays in Kiss. That bitch brainwashed him 6 ways of Sunday, made enemies of the two fucking heads of the band in Paul and Gene, and turboed or just torpedoed his fucking Kiss career. I swear to God.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit went on then, man.
Say what you want about Peter with his temper and being hard to work with. At least the motherfucker wasn't falling down drunk and missing shows like Ace. I mean,
no, because
his biggest thing
tour, the farewell tour and the reunion tour, he was in Ace's ass, man. Come on, man, motherfucker. Damn, bro. What the fuck, man? Get your shit together, man. He was getting mad at him, bro. Peter said I was on time. I was early for every rehearsal. And here he comes an hour late every fucking day. He said I was, god dang, wanting to stab him with a fucking drumstick, man. So yeah, he said I'm busting my fucking ass, man. And Peter, they did give Peter the hardest working dude when they got back together, man, because they said he really fucking, man, he was teaching them things because they had strayed so far from the album version because they would play something different, and Peter'd be like, "Nah, man, it's this way," and they'd be, "Nah, and they had to pull the albums back out again,
I
So
fucking I love Peter Chris with everything I can. I love the way he's gracefully handled the reunion and his no longer being with the band and kept his mouth shut and just wished the guys well when a reporter would put their fucking mic in his face looking for a gotcha moment. He is
yeah, man,
the epitome of class. He may have been hard to work with and a recluse and let his women do his talking, which is always a mistake in business. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, that man bled Kiss. Ace
yeah, he did.
Ace only gave a fuck about his what he wanted to do to have fun. That was fucking it. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
and I have to agree with that too. Uh, but I will say this about Peter. Peter said at one point in time in his book, and I'll never forget this. He said, I can say whatever I want to about Gene and Paul and Ace, whatever he said, but if anybody else was to say or do anything, try to do anything to him, I'd fucking kill you, bro.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, he said,
family,
no,
man.
no
It's family.
matter
You
what
can
happens.
know you got a deadbeat brother or something, and you can say that till the cows come home. If some jack off from his workplace is hanging with you guys at the bar and he starts running his mouth, you're gonna knock the fucker out. That's your brother. Shut your
Yeah,
fucking mouth.
man. Yeah, man. Yeah. He was that guy, man. I might be a motherfucker to deal with, but in the end, I'm gonna fucking take up for you.
Yeah,
It's a twisted brother relationship, man. Yeah,
yeah,
on drugs, alcohol, and all that shit too. So playmates, you name it. All right.
yeah.
We're going to a Psycho Circus album
Whoa, whoa.
that
We didn't name a song off Peter's.
Oh, Peter Chris, my bad. We've been talking about him so much. Damn here. I kind of wanted to get, I was kind of hoping you was like, okay.
I know, because I'm looking at this list going, oh my God, what do I choose?
Sorry, Pete, man. Okay. If you see this, we're sorry. I didn't, your album ain't good, bro. I love you, but damn. I'm not going off with I'm Gonna Love You, man. In all honesty, dude, tossing and turning, maybe. You matter to me. I, I don't know, bro.
See,
You can
you're
leave
gonna
it
go
as
with
it
I'm
is.
gonna love you. You're gonna keep that.
I'm no, I'm probably gonna go with the remake Tossing and Turning.
Yeah,
No, no, no,
that's where
no,
I
no,
was.
no, 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 no. Never
Go
mind.
ahead,
My bad.
go ahead.
I'm going with That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes. There we
Okay,
go. That's
okay.
my lead off
I
song.
was gonna do Hooked on Rock and Roll, but I think the remake of a very popular song would have been a good way to start this based on what isn't on this album, which is real Peter Chris sound.
Yeah.
At least that would have been something familiar that even metal fans, they might not like the song, but like, okay, he's doing a kick-ass job at this, 50s or whatever song. So I think that would have been a good choice just based on what you have to pick from. If it wouldn't be that, I would go on Hooked on Rock and Roll, but
Yeah. Yeah, because you got that little old time rock and roll vibe.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, and I guarantee you, man, they Peter pours out a lot, man, when he's going through the making of this album on his book.
Let me
And
ask you a question.
he
Is
yeah,
he proud of this
yeah,
in
man.
that book?
He
He
really
is?
has no clue. He has no clue, bro. That's how sad it is. And you're thinking about what is the people around him
So
saying to him, bro?
when he wrote this book, he was out of Kiss already
Yes, he was. He
before
was
the
already
reunion
out.
though. But before the reunion.
It's it was released after he had done all of his Kiss he's
Oh,
done with them all together.
and he
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
looks back and likes this album.
No, now not to this day. I think his opinion's a little bit different. He had bigger expectations for it. He thought it was going to be accepted by the Kiss fans, but I don't understand how you could think that. And but at the time he was making it, he thought it was going to be big, just like maybe like Gene. Who knows, man?
I could
And you
see
try.
him with I could see him with that attitude that the Kiss fans would accept it had this been done after I Was Made for Loving You and Dynasty. But the fact that this
Yeah,
is coming off of Love Gun and Alive 2,
no,
where does he get
no.
that headspace at the time that this kind of music's going to equate to Kiss fans?
I'll tell you where. All the booze and cocaine, bro. I
Man,
mean, literally, that stuff will send you to places. I've been it on it.
I
I've
would
done it.
like,
Now, I've not been on to the point
well,
to where I've partied with it, but I've never been an everyday
lived it.
user like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 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 no,
I mean, a lot of these
no.
musicians and actors and politicians, for that matter, they take what we do on a weekend and it's a lifestyle, 7 days a week. So their sobriety hours are few. The majority of their waking hours are under the influence. So their brains never really right. But I would like to think now, in an honest room, Peter and Gene would have to admit they would have done their albums different.
Yes, I would love to hear that one.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that one. I think Peter, you probably could. Gene, I
I think
don't know.
Gene's so goddamn full of himself that he'd never admit that he made a mistake.
I don't think he would either, man. As much as I hate to say it, dude, and I'm the first one to say that I made a mistake if I did, or if somebody
Me
caught
too.
me wrong. Okay, I'm wrong. Hey,
Yeah.
I apologize, dude. I didn't know, blah blah blah. I thought it was right. Yeah, man, I've always been, man enough to do that. But you have to go within, man, to do that, bro. And sometimes people just can't stand the thought of being wrong,
Well,
like
I'm convinced.
most modern day women.
Here's a brain fuck for you. I've come to this conclusion or this thought process over the last few years with my utter fucking disdain of Gene Simmons out of Kiss. What I mean by that is interviews on news organizations, interviews with celebrity magazines, whatever. When he's just talking as Gene Simmons, the man, I can't stand this guy. He's the epitome of a puke. But I am so convinced that this is a shtick to his that he's had for 40 plus years that I don't think Gene even knows who Gene is, really. It's one of those
I
things
don't
where you
think.
lie about things so much you start to believe the lie. How else
Yeah,
do you explain he uses the same tired one-liners for since the makeup's come off and he's been Gene the obnoxious idiot? I mean, since the Family Jewel days and even before, his whole persona to me is a fraud.
it
And
is.
I think
It is.
that nobody other than his family and Shannon truly know who he is. The problem
Yeah,
with that is he thinks the rest of us enjoy this fraud. And I would be willing to bet the majority of people who know him as a Kiss fan or a non-Kiss fan dislike him more because of the way he fucking comes off like such a goddamn egotistical buffoon.
yeah,
Imagine, say all you want about Paul. He's got plenty of faults, but he had to
yeah,
fucking deal with this guy day in and day out for 50 years. And he finally had to just say, fuck it, man. It's not worth it. Let Gene be
yeah,
Gene. I'll just ignore it. I mean, a
yeah,
classic example is that you could see the end of Paul's rope just snap in that Hot in the Shade or Revenge era interview with just those two, where Paul starts fucking
revenge.
making backhanded comments about any idiot can get groupies and shit, and Gene gets all pissed, bent out of shape.
Yeah,
You could
yeah,
just see the
yeah,
look on Paul's face, like, I am so fucking tired of dealing immature high school mentality.
Yeah, man. And another thing, Paul says it so many times, man. You know, Gene would go behind his back
Yeah.
through the years trying to use the KISS logo for personal gain, never informing him of it. He would always have to confront him with it. And of course, Gene would always say, well, I didn't know that, or try to make some, you know, kind of, well, I'm sorry, not because I'm sorry because I've done it. It was sorry till I do it again. You know, it
Mhm.
just, he started
It's the
painting
old,
him more of a traitor than Ace and
yeah,
Peter, for God's
it,
sake.
it became the old, it's easier to beg for forgiveness than ask permission.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's in that book, bro. Yeah, I
Okay.
love the books. Yeah.
Psycho
Peter's,
Circus.
Paul, Aces, Gene's is the worst. I will tell you that, but we will get to those one at a time.
I don't want to
One at a
read
time.
Gene's. I'm terrified of reading Gene's because I don't want to hear about how many women he slept with for 6 chapters and then 7 chapters about how he's a great businessman and then 2 chapters how he invented everything from twigs to grass to whatever else. I can't
No,
listen. I can't read or listen to him pat himself on the back any further. I just can't.
you're not going to read it. You're not going to read it. You're going to listen to it in prime time, and you're gonna learn shit, bro, that you just thought you knew, Gene. To the egotistical maniac, you're going to go beyond levels
Yeah, but do
of
we have
ego.
to go through 9 chapters of how he was at home crying because his mom was at work? And I mean, I
No,
don't
no,
want
no, no.
his I don't want his
We're
Israeli
skipping.
background.
No, we're skipping every one of. I'll tell you what chapter to start at listening to. We're going to They Are
I want
Starting
I
Kiss.
want
We're not
the
going
kiss
beforehand.
member. Yeah. I don't want their
Yes.
family history. I lost respect for Paul so much listening or reading him dribble about his poor picked on fucking youth. I can't stand that
Monster.
crap. I've never been a pity me kid. I got picked on. I got bullied. We all do. You pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You eventually fight back. You win. It's a great after school
Yeah.
special. I don't want to hear it. So there you go.
Yeah. And that's why I said I was going to make sure everybody knew that, even if Darren gets in on that. We're starting like chapter 4 with Peter, whatever chapter Paul starts
Yeah.
with Kiss meeting Gene at what's his name's house. That's where we're beginning, where the band comes into conception. Yeah,
Okay.
because there's a lot of
Mm.
shit beforehand that you
Yeah.
just. It's interesting for a one timer, but not for a this. Yeah. Okay. We're going to jump into the Psycho Circus album, and I am staying true to form on this album. I love the beginning of this album. I think the intro with the evil clown, all that shit's good for me. The song comes in, kicking your face in. That's my song to begin this album, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Not touching a thing. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's just perfect.
Yeah. And we're going to jump from that one to Revenge. Now, I love the beginning of this one. Unholy, of course. It's the single, it's the video that twisted your brains and stuff, you know. I understand all that. I honestly could absolutely start off with that one and or Thou Shalt Not, which I love just as actually probably a tad more. It's a little more higher tempo, but Unholy is that's that I'm really not going to mess with this one. You know, it's too projected already, and it's too great of an opener. I can't mess with this one either. So
Yeah. I absolutely love Unholy. It is a magical fucking kick your ass intro song, but I'm gonna have to switch it up with Car Jam.
I was waiting on that, man. You hadn't done
No,
that yet. I like it.
no,
Hey,
I'm sticking with Unholy. That's the perfect tone setter for this darker album.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't get me wrong, when I first got this album, my favorite song was "Take It Off."
Yeah.
I still love that song to this day.
My favorite song was I Just Wanna, but
Yeah, that
Unholy,
was a good one.
it always comes back to Unholy for me, and like you mentioned, it's probably got a lot to do with how it blew my fucking mind at the time, so.
Yeah, and I can see that. Take It Off live was absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
The chicks were amazing.
Yeah.
Oh hell, yeah. I ain't go down that rabbit hole, bro. Oh man, they got crazy in Charlotte, man. They did. They
I'm
were
sure.
doing the whipped cream and licking it off each other. And we was just like, "What? Yeah, come on, get it on, take it all off, get rid of it." Never mind. Anyway, um, rock and roll over, bro. And this is a stunner for me because I'm not. This is an intro that's slower paced, but I ain't no way in hell I'm touching "I Want You." I love that. I think that intro to that song fits it. It's not too damn long, and one of the great lyrics wrote by Paul Stanley ever, in my opinion. In the morning, I raise my head and I'm thinking of days gone by. Freaking awesome, bro. My favorite Kiss song at this point in time. It's getting challenged by another one that's hitting my playlist every day, which is All American Man, which is stride for stride with it. I Want You, I'm Leaving Be. There's several on here you could open with. Dr. Love, man, making love. But I Want You to me is just too perfect. That's my first here, and I wouldn't change it. It would be blasphemy to me. That's my opinion. Okay.
Yeah, I Want You is without a doubt my favorite song by any band with the I'm gonna fool you with the slow intro, and then it's gonna be a hard song. And I tend to agree with you. We've mentioned that with a few Kiss songs. Tonight You Belong to Me, an example on Paul's where you just can't do that. Rock Bottom, you just can't lead with that. Because of that intro, this is the exception. Because once that hits, it's fucking over until the
Yeah.
very middle when it's going to do it to you all over again. This
Yes.
was so brilliantly written and composed. And again, one that they didn't. I mean, up until Revenge, they did. But once they started this reunion shit, that got thrown to the fucking curb. And I just don't understand some of the decisions. We're not going to, this is already a 2-hour video, so we'll move it along. But yeah, I'm keeping it.
Hey, I don't understand it either, man. You know, they dished this song, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't play it on Animalize. They didn't play it on Asylum.
No.
And they brought it back with Hot in the Shade, which is a fucking unbelievable concert. I'm not going down that road. You're right. 2
Yep.
hours. We're rolling
Yep.
to Sonic Boom. And this one, here we go. It's easy for me. I'm not touching this one. I love Modern Day Delilah. I know a lot of people are iffy about that song. The title makes you think a little bit, but damn, that is to me old school Kiss. That song right there is old school Kiss. I love the power of the song. I love that song. I don't care what anybody says. It is even Tommy plays one fucking hell of a solo. I'll give him credit for that, man. Paul sings it, and he still had the voice that could pull that off at that time. That just fuck yeah, man. I'm in.
All right. Well, my two absolute favorite songs on this are Never Enough and Say Yeah. Neither one is an opening track. I'm on record saying I do not like Modern Day Delilah, but not because it's a bad song. I will agree with you and other podcasters. This is as close as they've come since, I don't know, a long time. Look it up for sounding like the original Kiss type music. I
Yeah,
love
man.
I love the music. I love Paul's powerful verses. I hate this fucking chorus with a passion. Same old way,
Don't
modern.
like
I
it?
think I hate that fucking chorus,
Ah,
but
shame on you, girl.
everything else about the song is perfect for an opening song. I don't even have a problem with them if they would have continued playing it live into End of the Road. I just wish the chorus was different because the rest of the song is fucking great.
Yeah, I love everything about it. I love the chorus. I do. This song, when this came out, man, I was like, fuck yes. Holy shit. And look,
Yeah,
I
and
chewed
I
up the
was too.
album
I,
for
I
a
didn't
long time.
even not liking the chorus. I was like, boys, they still fucking got it. And then I heard the
Yes.
rest of the album and it was spotty. I mean, I like this album. I don't love it, but it definitely
Yeah.
didn't live up to the expectations. But then again, neither did Psycho Circus. Kiss hasn't lived up to their expectations for me since Revenge. They just haven't. Pound for
They
pound,
haven't
song
lived up.
for song.
Yeah, I can say that. I can say that. For me, I don't think they lived up their expectations fully, and a lot of people's going to disagree with it. But Asylum, I mean, yeah, Revenge is a great
And I'll
album.
give you that. And I'll give you that because over the years, I have found that I, like a lot of people, severely overrated Revenge just because we were coming off of Pop Kiss. Now they're in metal. Now they got scruff. Now they're fucking playing hard and fast.
They
So
pulled
fuck
me
you.
into, dude.
Stop making fun of my band. So it was
Yeah,
more of a
man.
chest pounding moment that we kind of overvalued the material on the album.
Yes. I love Revenge. And people probably think, he's shitting on. No, I'm not, dude. I bought it soon as it came out. I
With the
love the look,
caveat
the
that
sound.
they should have left God Gave Rock and Roll to You for the soundtrack of the movie, but left it off their album. Winger did it with Battle Stations. That ain't on one of their albums. Soundtrack for the same movie. All right. So just leave
Yep.
that alone. So that's off of Revenge. I understand you're trying to pay tribute, but get the fucking 4-minute goddamn drum solo for Car Jam off my fucking album, put it on a box set in the future,
Yeah,
and give me 2 more songs.
I agree. I would have left that ballad.
There's and maybe even get rid of Every Time I Look at You, even though I like
Yeah,
it. To me, the
yeah,
title of Revenge, and you're coming out in leather and you're playing heavy fucking metal. There's no room for a ballad on this album unless it's going to be something in the vein of I Still Love
yeah. And this point in time, 1992, bro.
You. No,
Yeah,
no,
you're correct. Yeah. I Still Love You. That could have worked, but it had to
yeah,
be powerful. Yeah.
yeah,
It matches that album. So
yeah.
okay, man, we are down to our final album. Can you believe that? Can you guess what it is?
Oh,
Unmasked.
yeah. They got nothing that
Yeah.
starts with T.
Yes, sir,
They
man.
don't have
And
an
here we
album.
go.
Huh?
Huh?
They don't have an album that
Yeah.
starts with T.
Nope.
Oh,
We do
okay.
not. We've got all of the solo albums, just about Miss Jean. I must have skipped him somewhere, but we got him. Uh Unmasked. Here we go. And I can literally say that I love Is That You? I know people shit on that song. I don't know why. There you go. To me, it's one of the hardest rocking songs on here. I could have even went with Tomorrow for a lead off track. I love that song, man. It's not really a slow intro. They get there pretty quick, but wow, Is That You? Naked City. If you're going to let Gene lead this album off, at that point in time, Gene is not leading anything off. And Ace definitely ain't on this fucking album. So, Is That You is my song. I'm staying true to form. I've always loved it. People can say what they want to. I love the song, always have, always will. This grabbed me. I was at a thank God moment when I heard this song, man, because I thought this whole album was going to be this way. And Kiss didn't do what they done on the last album. And damn it, and not the album, the song lead off song. And
Yeah.
but when I was 10, when this come out, dude, I loved it. And I still love Unmasked this day, man. I'm 60-40 on this fucking album, bro. I don't
Yeah.
care.
I'll tell you what. I agree with you 100%. It's the hardest, fastest, heaviest song on here, and I love the song. I always have. I, too, as a kid, was like, fuck yeah. And as a kid, I didn't care that the rest of it was what it was. Now, I don't care. But I'll tell you what, about 10, 15, 20 years ago, I was like, what the fuck happened to the rest of the album after Is That You? I
Yeah,
mean,
and see,
I like the cheesy, the poppy stuff, right? I know you don't. I like Talk to Me. All right. I've always liked Shandy. I loved as a kid What Makes the World Go Around and Tomorrow. See, to me, I've always loved Paul's voice, so this album was a treat for me, but I was also into pop music. I mean, again, I start before Kiss, I was listening to ABBA at
yeah,
5 years old, but nevertheless, I never stopped listening to pop music. I wasn't a all metal or nothing like my friends as a teenager. I listened to 80s pop and Kiss.
I did
So the
too.
pop stuff still appealed to me, but there was a time around 30 years old, 35 years old, where I looked at this album like, Jesus Christ, all I could fucking pick on a compilation to put on a fucking CD from this album is That You. I liked
See,
all the songs, but it didn't fit for me. It's another one of those rare Kiss albums where a track doesn't belong. And usually it's a
yeah,
track that sucks that doesn't belong with all the good stuff. This is a heavy metal song with a bunch of pop songs around it. They're good pop songs.
but
I love Tomorrow. One of the greatest Paul
yes.
Stanley songs there is. But at the end of the day, you got to leave this because it is the only heavy rock song. I mean, okay, fine, it's not heavy metal, but it's hard rock.
Yeah, and another thing about this album, I was in the same boat as you were thinking about the heaviest songs on this album when it first came out as a kid. And believe it or not, a song that I really don't care for now was my favorite song when it came out, and it was What Makes the World Go Round. And look, don't get me wrong, when I shit on the Ace songs on this album, it's not because of the intro, the verses, the music. It's the choruses that kill his songs for me
Yeah.
on this album to a degree that it makes me disdain the damn
Wow.
songs. And
Except
that's
for Torpedo Girl. Torpedo Girl's perfection.
oh fuck that and altogether. Yeah. I don't like that one at all. Yeah, yeah. And look, I did not like that last song, You're All That I Want, for years. I thought, gee, that shit. The more
I
I
like
listen to that song, it is a good song. And Naked City will rock your socks off. I didn't even know that for years. I mean, so many songs you ignore. Tomorrow, it will rock your socks off if you turn up. One of my favorite
well,
songs on this album is Synthesizer, Easy as It Seems, bro. I
oh, I love
love
that
that
song.
song.
Oh,
So
but
it's a
again,
mixed bag.
why you never thought of these songs is I think the same reason none of us did after the fact as we got older. They were all great songs except Torpedo Girl, but delivered horribly and not vocally, instruments wise. It's like you were in an 80s pop band's studio with their amp settings and Kiss was told go make an album. Well, all their Kiss
Holly,
shit is in a different studio. If they would have played
yeah,
these songs with Kiss production,
distorted.
yes,
Oh man,
yeah,
polished, too crisp, too
yeah,
clean, bro. Just,
yeah,
and I know they were going for that. Okay,
yep,
But damn, man, I've always said it. I'd have loved to heard these songs with a raw production. You got a lot of different opinions in. That's when we was talking about production really can make or break a fucking album for you, bro.
And don't get me wrong, we both, either of us wrong. We love the album as it is. We're saying it would be 100 times better and way more accepted and stand up way better had it been produced with distorted guitars and heavy drums versus these poppy drum machine sounding drums and clean channel guitars and keyboards.
Yes. Yeah. And Shandy, which I've grown to
Because
like, believe
if
it or
you
not.
see, you take Bruce Kulick's band, right, with what's that singer's name, that real tall fuck, he plays with a lot of bands, Kearns, Tommy Kearns or whatever, Kearns. You take that cruise band that Bruce and Bob Kulick took on the Kiss cruises, and you have them fucking play these songs, not reimagine them, play them as they're meant to be, but with their setup, these songs are going to fucking musically sound completely different, even though they're identically played, just with a metal sound.
Totally transform the sound, and you got a totally different song, bro. And that goes for a lot of things.
Yep.
A lot of it, man.
All right. Well, we got 2 hours and 10 minutes about for this long ass last minute thrown together video because Darren couldn't be with us tonight. So me and Scott wanted to do one. We figured, well, let's just throw something out quick. And here we are 2 hours later. So
yes, sir. You can do it with
that's
Kiss.
what you get. That's what you get with two Kiss fans, boy. You could talk forever about this band. No matter how limited the subject may seem, it's always going to bring something up that takes you in a completely different direction, and you got to work your way back. And we like it. So if you don't, just skip around.
Absolutely, man. It takes you back in time, bro.
Yeah.
And we got Mother Bone Love coming up, and we got Motley Crue.
Mother Love Bone.
Oh no.
And Motley Crue's girls, and hopefully we will kick them both out before the weekend is over. We're not going to sign any more homework until we got Darren back here and we get some of these other ones caught up. So I guess until next time, unless you got anything to add.
Put your Kiss album together, guys. Yep.
Yep, that's a good call. Good call. All right. Then until next time, thanks for watching.